My wife's dead. Sister was living in our basement, and she wasn't the same person anymore. I never believed in family secrets. I thought those things only existed in bad movies or cheap thrillers. But after what happened in our house, I'm not sure what's real anymore. My wife, Lena, always wanted to move back to her hometown. When we found a house on the edge of that little rural town, old but beautiful, she fell in love instantly. It had that quiet, vintage charm, creaky floors, wooden walls, and a basement that smelled like earth and old books. The realtor said it used to belong to Lena's grandparents. She smiled when she heard that and said softly, "It feels like coming home." We moved in during early autumn. At first, it was perfect. Lena was happy for the first time in years. She'd always been fragile, I guess. She lost her sister in a car accident when she was a teenager. A hit and run that nobody ever solved. Sometimes she'd wake up crying from nightmares, whispering her sister's name, Emily. The first weird thing happened the second week we moved in. It was around midnight. I was in bed, half asleep, when I heard something from the basement. Not the usual creaks or pipes. It sounded like footsteps. Slow, soft, deliberate. I froze. The house was old, sure, but those steps were too rhythmic to be random. I grabbed my phone and turned on the flashlight. The basement door was closed, but I swear I saw the door handle twitch. "Lena," I whispered. She stirred beside me. "What? Did you hear that?" She looked half asleep. "It's just the house settling. Go back to bed." The next morning, she acted like nothing happened. But when I went downstairs to make coffee, I noticed the basement door was unlocked, and Lena was already down there. She startled when I came in. "Oh, I just wanted to check for mold," she said, smiling too quickly. She had a tray with a plate of food, half a sandwich, an apple, and a glass of water. When she noticed me looking, she blushed. "I was eating down here while I worked. But the thing is, Lena never eats apples. She's allergic." That's when I started feeling off. Like there was something in this house that didn't belong. For the next few days, I tried to convince myself that I was just being paranoid. Old houses make noises. Doors shift with temperature. Wood expands. That's what I kept repeating, until the third night. I was working late in my office when I heard the basement door click. A faint sound, but clear. I turned down the volume on my laptop. Then came the second sound, a creak, like someone was slowly walking up the stairs. I stepped into the hallway. The light from my monitor spilled faintly across the floor. The air felt heavy. The basement door was half open. "Lena," I called quietly. No answer. I reached for the light switch, but before I could flip it, the door slammed shut, hard enough to rattle the frame. When I rushed to open it, the lock was engaged from the inside. I didn't sleep that night. The next morning, I told Lena what happened. She looked distant, like she was trying to remember a dream. "You must have imagined it," she said. "You've been stressed." But her hands were trembling when she handed me my coffee. That afternoon, I bought a small security camera, one of those motion-sensitive types you can connect to your phone. I told Lena it was for peace of mind. Since she hated the idea of me working nights in a creaky house, I set it up facing the basement door. For tonight's, nothing. Just stillness. Then, on the third night, at 3:17 a.m., my phone buzzed. Motion detected. I opened the app. The basement door was open, just a few inches, and someone was standing in the shadow behind it. Not Lena. The figure was too small, too thin, hair long and tangled. The face, blurred by the low light, but I could see the eyes reflecting faintly like an animal's. Then the figure stepped backward into the dark, and the door closed slowly. My heart felt like it was going to explode out of my chest. I ran to the bedroom. Lena was asleep beside me. I barely slept until sunrise. The moment she left for work, I replayed the footage over and over. The time stamp, the movement, all real. So, I went down to the basement. It smelled different that morning, like shampoo and old perfume. There were footprints in the dust, bare feet, small. I followed them to the far corner behind some shelves, and that's when I saw it. A door, built into the wall, almost hidden behind the wooden planks, locked from the outside. The lock on the hidden door was old, rusted, and painted over, like someone didn't just want to close it, they wanted to erase it. I pried at the edges with a screwdriver. The sound of cracking paint filled the basement. It took almost 10 minutes before the latch gave way with a metallic snap. The door opened, just enough for a cold draft to hit my face. It smelled like damp clothes, and something else, something sweet, rotten, but not entirely unpleasant. I turned on my phone flashlight and stepped inside. The room was small, maybe 6 by 8 feet, concrete walls, low ceiling, and it wasn't empty. There was a bed, thin and messy, A few candles melted into the floor, and a shelf with random things, old books, a comb, a broken mirror, and food trays, dozens of them. Half-eaten sandwiches, apple cores, bottles of water. The same kind of tray Lena had that morning. I crouched down and noticed something scratched into the wall beside the bed. Letters, carved deep and uneven. Emily. My stomach dropped. The flashlight flickered just for a second, and in that strobe of light, I thought I saw someone standing in the corner. But when I turned, there was nothing. Only the sound of dripping water from somewhere above. I stumbled out of the room, slammed the door shut, and leaned against it, breathing hard. The whole basement seemed to shift, like the house itself was holding its breath. I went upstairs and waited for Lena to come home. When she did, I tried to act normal. I couldn't. Lena, I said quietly, who's Emily? She froze. Her keys fell from her hand. Why are you asking me that? Because her name is carved into a wall in our basement. For a second, her face changed completely. The color drained out of it. Then she whispered, barely audible, you weren't supposed to find that. That night, she didn't speak to me. She just sat on the edge of the bed, staring out the window, twisting her wedding ring. At around 2 a.m., I woke up and saw her standing by the basement door again, barefoot, just staring at it. When I whispered her name, she turned slowly, and for a moment, her face didn't look like hers. It was like something hollow had replaced her. The next morning, I couldn't shake the image of Lena standing by that basement door. When I asked her about it over breakfast, she said, flatly, I don't remember. Her tone was off. Her eyes were red, like she hadn't slept. She left for work early, and I used the time to act on the idea that had been haunting me all night. If the first camera caught someone near the basement, maybe a second one could tell me what was really inside. I went to the hardware store, bought another small camera, and installed it in the hidden room itself, wedged between 2 old pipes where it couldn't be easily seen. It pointed toward the bed and the scratched name on the wall, Emily. Then I waited. That night was silent, too silent. No sounds, no clicks, no creaks. I kept checking the camera feed on my phone until I fell asleep around 2 a.m. When I woke up the next morning, there were 12 motion alerts, all between 1 o'clock and 1:45 a.m. My hands were shaking when I opened the first video. At 1:02 a.m., the camera flickered on. The hidden door opened, slowly, like someone was pushing from the other side. A figure stepped inside the frame. Bare feet, long dark hair, thin arms. Her head was tilted at an unnatural angle, like she hadn't used her neck muscles in years. She moved toward the bed and sat down. Then she started brushing her hair with the same old comb I'd seen on the shelf. And that's when she looked up, straight at the camera. Her face came into view. I froze. She looked exactly like Lena, but younger, paler, eyes wider, emptier, like she hadn't seen sunlight in a decade. She leaned closer to the lens, whispering something I couldn't hear. Then she smiled. It wasn't human. I skipped ahead to the last clip. At 1:43 a.m. This time, there were 2 figures. Lena, in her nightgown, standing in the doorway, and the other woman, sitting on the bed. They stared at each other for a long time. No sound, no movement. Then Lena stepped forward, touched her hand gently, and whispered something. The camera barely caught the words, but I managed to replay them over and over until I heard them clearly. I told you he wouldn't find you. I dropped my phone. For a full minute, I couldn't breathe. When Lena came home that evening, I didn't confront her. Not yet. I needed proof. So I copied the videos onto a flash drive and hid it in my desk drawer. That night, I pretended to sleep. At 3 a.m., I heard the basement door creak open again. I crept into the hallway and watched from the shadows as Lena carried a tray. Down the stairs, a sandwich, an apple, and a glass of water. She whispered softly, I brought your favorite. I didn't sleep that night. I waited until Lena left for work the next morning, then locked the front door behind her. I had one goal: go into the basement, open that hidden room, and get answers, no matter what I found. When I descended the steps, the air felt heavier than usual, thick with the smell of mildew and something faintly metallic. The light bulb above me flickered, humming quietly. The hidden door was slightly ajar. It hadn't been like that last night. I swallowed hard and pushed it open. The room was empty. The bed was made, neatly this time. The candles were gone. Even the scratches on the wall that spelled Emily were freshly painted over. Someone had been down here and tried to erase it all. I took out my phone, switched to the camera app, and started filming. If Lena tried to deny anything, I wanted proof. Something glittered under the bed. I crouched, reached underneath, and pulled out a shoebox covered in dust. Inside were old photographs, some faded, some crumpled. The first photo was of 2 girls, both smiling, both Lena. No, not Lena. One of them had a small scar near her eyebrow, the same spot Lena always covered with makeup. The other one didn't. Twins. I went through more pictures. Their birthdays, family vacations, always together. But then the photos stopped around their teenage years abruptly. The last one showed them sitting on a car hood, both laughing. The date scribbled on the back, June 11, 2009. That was the same year Lena's sister supposedly died. I flipped to the next photo, and my stomach turned. It was the wrecked car, crushed, burned. Only one body covered by a white sheet. On the back of that photo, in shaky handwriting, we had to choose. I heard something move behind me. I spun around. The door was closing, slowly, silently. Lena, I whispered, but it wasn't her. A shadow shifted near the wall, and then she stepped out. The woman from the video. The same pale skin, same tangled hair, same wide, empty eyes. Emily, I said before I could stop myself. She tilted her head. Her lips trembled, forming a small, broken smile. Not supposed to know my name, she whispered. Her voice was dry, like paper scraping against concrete. I backed up, my heart pounding. Where's Lena? She pointed toward the ceiling, toward the house above us. Upstairs, she said. She doesn't like it when you come down here. Why are you here? I asked. She blinked slowly. She said I could stay. Said I'd be safe. Safe from what? Emily's eyes darted toward the doorway. From them. Before I could ask who she meant, footsteps echoed above. Deliberate, slow. Lena's voice followed, calm and sweet. You shouldn't have come down here, Daniel. She appeared at the top of the stairs, her face lit faintly by the bulb overhead. Her smile was soft, but her eyes looked wrong, empty, like her sister's. Lena, what is this? I demanded. Why is your sister alive and living in our basement? She walked down the steps, one slow step at a time, her bare feet whispering against the wood. I didn't lie, she said. She did die. The doctors said she was gone, but she came back. I felt my skin crawl. What do you mean came back? Lena reached the bottom, turned toward Emily, and brushed a strand of hair from her sister's face with trembling fingers. She was gone for 6 minutes after the crash, Lena said quietly. 6 minutes. Then she started breathing again. But she wasn't the same. I took a step back. You hid her here? She didn't want hospitals. Didn't want anyone to see her. She'd panic, scream at everyone. So I brought her here. Fed her. Protected her. Lena's voice cracked. She's my sister. I couldn't lose her again. Emily turned her head slowly toward me. She promised not to tell, she said. Lena nodded. You weren't supposed to find out. You ruin everything when you start digging, Daniel. I felt a chill down my spine. Lena, we need to get her help. She needs a hospital. She doesn't want that. Lena, this isn't healthy. This is. Something slammed behind me. The door to the basement. I turned. Emily had moved closer, fast to fast. Her eyes were wide, teeth bared in a strange, twisted grin. She said you'd take me away, she hissed. You can't take me away. She lunged. I stumbled backward, knocking into the shelf, sending bottles and trays crashing to the floor. Lena screamed, but not in fear. It was anger. Stop it, she yelled. He's not going anywhere. The two sisters locked eyes. Something electric passed between them, not hate, not love, something primal. Lena whispered, you promised you'd stay quiet. Emily's voice came out like a growl. You promised you'd keep me alive. Then the light bulb exploded. Everything went black. I don't remember running, only the sound of my heartbeat and the feel of cold air when I finally burst out the front door. I ran into the street, barefoot, half blind, screaming for help. By the time the police arrived, the house was silent. No Lena, no Emily. They searched the basement, found the hidden room bare. No bed, no photos, no traces of anyone ever living there. Even the wall was smooth again, as if it had never been carved. The cameras, both gone. My flash drive, missing. The officers said there was no evidence of a crime. That maybe I imagined it. That maybe the stress got to me. But 2 nights later, I got a package in the mail. No return address. Inside was a flash drive. Just one video file. When I opened it, my blood ran cold. It was recorded from my first camera, the one outside the basement door. Timestamp, 3:17 a.m., same time as before. The door opened. Lena stepped out of the basement, her hair messy, her nightgown torn. In her arms, she carried something, someone. Emily, limp pale. Lena looked straight at the camera. For a moment, I thought she was about to speak. Then she smiled, the same broken smile her sister had, and whispered, now we're both home. The screen went black. I left town the next day. The house is still there, though every few months. I check the real estate listings just to see if anyone buys it. They never do. The listing always says the same thing in the note section. Basement under renovation. Do not enter. But last night, out of curiosity, I opened the old security app on my phone. The one that should have stopped working months ago. One camera was still active. Basement feed, online. I clicked it, and there, in the darkness, lit by a faint candle, two figures sat side by side on the bed, one brushing the other's hair, both smiling.